Hey friends, it's Heather. I have another layout to share with you for my creative scrapbook. I am working with the main kit. It is filled with Simple Stories Spring Farmhouse and a couple of sheets from, oh boy, it's a travel line. Oh, that's terrible. That map paper is from the other line. If you really want to know, please let me know in the comments. But I also did an unboxing video of the kit, which you could also refer to. So this is a travel layout, and I liked the map as the background, but it was super busy with the cut file that I wanted to use. So I'm adding a layer of white gesso and backing it with a piece of black cardstock, which I used the center of to back this cut file. Obviously I did a lot of work before I started filming because nobody wants to watch anybody pull all those pieces off of the cutting mat. The cut file was actually the white shadow and the letters. So I cut each of the words out in a different pattern paper. And then I used my the offset tool in Silhouette Studio to create another shadow, which I did in black so it would stand out more. So I glued the white shadow on top of the black, and then I am painstakingly adding all of the letters with adhesive foam. So I thought about stitching around them, but yeah, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I wanted them to pop up, so I added foam, and I do go back and I trace around some of the letters in a black pen. So I don't make you watch me do this whole thing because that would just take forever. And it did take some time, but I think it was worth it. The photo that I'm using is of my mother and father. They just went on their 30th cruise. Yep, they are big cruise people. So, coincidentally, I am actually, at the time I'm doing this film, this voiceover, and am a week away from going on my first cruise. So I can't wait to have all those pictures to share with you. And I'm showing that glue bottle because people ask what I use in my fine line bottle. It is Scotch Quick Dry, and I just transfer it to the fine liner bottle. I know some people mix it with some water. I don't. I've never had a problem of it being too thick, but I love using my fine liner bottle because, obviously getting little dabs of glue, and I use so much less than if I were to use it in the original bottle. So my gesso is dry now, and the beauty of using a big cut file like this is it takes up a lot of room. So it kind of takes a lot of the guesswork away from the design. I do back my photo with, I'm pretty sure I do it in the back, black cardstock as well. And I knew I wanted to use this photo, but I had such a hard time embellishing because it didn't really need that much. So there I'm using a piece of white cardstock because I was debating whether I would sort of tilt the map paper. I ultimately go against that idea, but I thought I would try something a little different, but I didn't like the way that it looked, so I cut out the rest of that black cardstock because that's what I'll use to back my photo, and I am just attaching my background now to the black cardstock with some double-sided tape. And I kept going back and forth. I wanted to do some stitching on this, but I end up just tracing around the edges, and I'm just bending up the edges of the cardstock just to give it a little bit of texture. And I am going to go in with some mixed media. So not only did the gesso just sort of blend out, I want to say blend out or blur out tone down the background, but it's going to act as my primer for when I start adding my mixed media. Those are all the pattern papers that I used to cut the words out, and I kept them because they almost looked kind of cool by themselves. Just using the outline on a layout. So who knows, maybe in the future. Maybe not all of them together because that would be kind of repetitive. I have a funny thing about that. I know that I've repeated some designs over the years, because how could you not? I mean, there's usually always some really fun layouts or designs that you can repeat. But I'm curious, how often do you go back to your go-to design? Is there a design that you use pretty frequently? Either just because of lack of time or just because you like the look of it? I don't know. Some of those pieces I fussy cut out, like the geotag and the collect moments. I was showing you the pattern paper that has all the squares in it. It had some really fun images that could be fussy cut. And I didn't just want to attach them to my layout. So you'll see what I do here in a bit to add a little bit of sparkle. So I pulled out some shimmers. Some of them are creamies and original shimmers. So creamies and their inklings, you have to add water. It doesn't come mixed up already, but I've had some of these for a couple of years, and it doesn't really matter. You can add water and then you can let it dry completely, and they work just the same. So I spent a lot of time though color swatching, because this layout was actually kind of difficult to match for mixed media. And that greenish one, it's kind of like an olive green, that's a shimmers. And then I also pull out an old Heidi Swapp Color Shine. I also pulled out some of my distress inks. The Tattered Rose, that's the color I'm smushing down. That one actually matched really well, but it is so light. I put on quite a few layers of that. And I just wanted to add a little bit of the colors from the pattern paper onto the background so they would peek out. And that was just a test swatch because I knew my photo would cover it up. And I was just sort of narrowing down what colors would match the best. Also, the cut file that I'm using was created by Paige Evans. I don't think I mentioned that before. She's created some cut files for the Kit Club the past couple of months, which is fun. You can find those on the website. If you click on the add-on kit tab and scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see all the cut files that are offered this month and previous months. They are free. And exclusively created for my creative scrapbook, so that's fun. So I'm just going in with a paintbrush and adding little swatches of color here and there. And there I am gluing down my cut file with my fine liner bottle. I actually thought about popping the whole thing up again, but I thought I was going a little foam crazy. But that large cut file made it so easy to position it because there's not really any other option. Of course, you could certainly make this smaller, or you could just use the words. You don't have to use the shadow. And like I said, I added the black shadow in Silhouette Studio, but you could just cut out the words and place the letters, however, or not use all of them. Totally up to you, whatever works for you. Those are that frame and that little journaling spot is from the die cut pack. So I'm just cutting part of the frame out because you won't see it. And then that journaling spot, I actually cut into it so I could layer the flowers over my title. And then you're gonna see here shortly the other couple of pieces. I actually didn't use that many embellishments. So the ones that I did use, I've done this before, but I added tonic crystal glaze. You could also do this with glossy accents, but I really like tonic crystal glaze because it dries faster. but you add that to the top of any cardstock, any die cut, embellishment, and it makes it look totally different. Gives it lots of dimension and shine. And in this instance, I added a little bit something extra. So you'll see that coming here shortly. I was just going in there with some splatters of the same colors that I used in my background. And I also used the luggage that I cut out from one of the pattern papers. And I am watching Netflix, which is why you keep seeing my arm reach over, because I was having so many problems that it kept stopping, and I had to keep replaying it. It was kind of annoying. What do you guys watch when you're crafting? Or do you listen to music? Sometimes I just put on YouTube and I let videos play, and but I start to get in a zone, and so I don't end up actually watching it. I'm just listening to what they're saying, and so some of the videos I replay over and over again because I enjoy listening to them. So hopefully you enjoy listening to this too, and my ramblings about stuff. So I backed each one of those pieces on black cardstock just to give them more definition. Like I said, I fussy cut them out of one of the pattern papers, and I go around with a black pen, gel pen, and it's not very neat. I'm not trying to be really neat, but I wanted some more definition to them. And then I am going to pull out the tonic crystal glaze. There it is from Nuvo, and add a quick little layer. And it's really easy to get out of the bottle. This bottle never clogs up, which is fabulous. The mistake that I made, I got a little overzealous. I actually go back in with 2 layers of this. And I don't think my first layer was dry. So on my geotag, it looks a little cloudy. So I was really disappointed with that. But so now I know. I just need to be a little lighter handed. But when this dries, it has a really nice puffy sheen. It's almost like it's, what do I want to say? Like epoxy stickers. So I'll show you again once they dry. I am just going around with that same black pen around my whole layout just to give it a little bit more detail. And like I mentioned before, I outline some of the letters. I don't outline them all. I think 2 or 3 words. I actually planned to do all of them, but I was not as neat as I had wanted to be around some of the letters, and I got a little frustrated with it and disappointed that I did it in the first place. Have you ever done that, where you started to do something and then you wish you hadn't? But I think it looks good in the end. I think it works. It's kind of matches the rest of the layout, where it's kind of a sketchiness to it. And these colors and the kit, I love these colors. I would have never picked them probably for a travel layout, but once I saw this cut file, it really worked. So I am taking some chunky glitter and this nifty little tool from Tonic. I love it. You just dip it in, and I love it. Has 2 ends to it. So you saw me just adding some of that chunky glitter, and because the tonic glaze wasn't dry yet, it sort of settles into it, and so you have a little bit of wiggle time. And then I do go back and add another layer, which hindsight, I wish I hadn't, but works out in the end. I still like the way that it turned out. These are also sequins that came in the kit. They are from Lilac Lane, I believe. They're yellow. There's some hearts and circles in there. That is a piece of a die cut that I cut apart. I think there was a vase to it or something, but I didn't really want that. I just wanted the flowers. So I cut that apart, and I know that is going to peek out behind one of the embellishments that I was working on with the crystal glaze. I also pulled some little flowers from the die cut pack, and I am, you kind of see me off camera there, I'm cutting off the white edge. That doesn't always bother me. Actually, in most cases it doesn't bother me, but this particular pack in this collection, the white border was so big. Like, it was, I don't know, it just seemed like a bit much, so it didn't look right to me. So there I'm showing you that I added some more of that glitter around my layout, which I thought was really fun. So there it is. These are my final shots. I hope that you enjoyed watching and found some inspiration. Make sure you head over to My Creative Scrapbook, check out the kits and these cut files. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate your support. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will be back soon with another layout. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.